Chapter 1, Getting Started. There are many ways to create a company, but only one good one: to deeply understand real customers, living humans, and their problem, and then solve that problem. This is explained clearly and thoroughly in Disciplined Entrepreneurship by Bill Ole. I won't repeat or even summarize what he wrote. If you haven't yet reached or achieved product market fit, which is more than $1 million of revenue, go read Bill's book first. Chapter 2, The Team. Co-founders. Starting a company is hard. There are long hours, constant fear of failing, many rejections, etc. This burden is further intensified if you try to do it alone. Solo founders have high rates of burnout. The emotional burden is just too high. As with any trend, there are exceptions, but the rule generally holds. Y Combinator has a strong bias towards accepting co-founder teams versus solo founders for this reason. Owning much of something is basically owning 100% of nothing. Find a partner, someone who has complementary skills to yours. Share the emotional burden with them. That will ease the load significantly. Give up a large percentage of the company. It's worth it. Your partner's purpose is not to be a value add forever. As your company grows, you will likely find people with far greater skills whom you will hire. That's okay. Your co-founder's purpose is to help you achieve success in your march to product market fit. Once you get there and begin the blitz scaling process, be pleased if they continue to add value beyond that point. And when you do find a partner, avoid one cardinal mistake. Do not create a 50-50 partnership. While 50-50 sounds like an ideal, it actually leads to real pain if there's no easy way to break a deadlock. Unanimous decisions are tiresome to create day after day after day. Knowing that one person has the ability to decide actually eases the burden for all involved and leads to far better outcomes. As Alex Mochary, founder and CEO of Clearbit, writes, this is key. 2 of my previous companies were destroyed by a 50-50 split. From Peter Reinhardt, founder and CEO of Segment, shares a different perspective. There are ways to avoid deadlock, e.g. third co-founder with small stake in the charm, and splitting evenly aside from that has been totally fine with my experience with both Segment and Charm. Over time, vesting, cash investments, or differential compensation is a natural way that ownership can diverge. And in all this, there is one big exception. If you've done this before, have the majority of skills, technical, social, financial, need to start a company, and are masochistic, then by all means, begin on your own. From Alex Mochary. The key for me doing it alone is a strong friend group that supports me. The team. While it is crucial to have a partner to share the emotional burden of starting a company, each additional team member, co-founder, partner, or employee, adds additional complexity in geometric fashion. Each new member must somehow grok the priorities, vision, and actions of the other team members in order to place their efforts in the same direction. The more team members you have, the geometrically harder it is to share what is currently going on with everyone, as well as have everyone be emotionally brought in to decisions being made. Do not underestimate this cost. It is much larger than most founders think. YC has another strong belief. Founding teams should never grow beyond 6 until there is true product market fit. Later, I will dive deeper into what product market fit is, but for now, let's say it's greater than $1 million in recurring revenue, $1 million in recurring revenue for an enterprise company. Why? 3 main reasons. 1, morale. Until product market fit is achieved, the company must be able to adapt to negative customer feedback and potentially pivot the company. No matter what you say to them, when someone joins a 10+ person company, they expect stability. If after 6 months, you launch your first product and customers don't instantly rave about it, which is what will happen, the team will become demoralized. It doesn't matter how many times you've announced beforehand that you're still a startup and that the team should be ready for this. They will hear the words, but not internalize them. By contrast, with 6 or less people, the environment feels like a team in battle. Chaos is expected. So when chaos is actually encountered, the team meets it with glee. People who join small teams crave the challenge of new things. They want things to be hard. 2, communication and organization. When you are a few people in a room, you all know what each other's working on without having to formally report to each other. This has tremendous value as it allows you to all stay in sync without requiring a formal management system, which would suck up significant time and headspace, even if it does quite efficiently. Once your team grows large enough to not be able to sit next to each other in one room, i.e. more than 20 in one space, or even one remote worker, then suddenly information sharing by osmosis disappears. Now you will need a formal management system to succeed. And that requires overhead, usually 1 full day per week, for everyone. 3. Efficiency. When you're just a few programmers, then there is no choice but to write prototype code. This is code that is meant only to create a prototype and brings along with it a lot of technical debt, as opposed to industrial code, which is meant to be easily debugged, handle many users, etc. The reality is that your first product should always be viewed as a prototype. You are using it to gather customer feedback only, and that feedback will inevitably vastly alter what your product is, usually to the point of it becoming a completely different product. So all that effort you put into making this initial code beautiful will likely be wasted. If you're small, there will be no temptation to write beautiful, unnecessary code. If you're a startup in Silicon Valley and have discovered a large potential market, then you'll be able to raise significant capital early. This will allow you to hire many people. Investors may well pressure you to do so in order to win the race to market share. Resist this pressure. It is misplaced. Startups don't usually fail because they grow too late. They fail because they grow too early, i.e. before they have achieved product market fit. Product market fit. What is product market fit? I define it as having created a product that customers are finding so much value in that they are willing to both buy it after their test phase and recommend it. Metrics that show whether PMF has been achieved include revenue, renewal rates, NPS, Net Promoter Score. The first goal of the company should be to achieve real product market fit, not metrics that fool people inside and out of the company that PMF has been achieved. For a B2B company, know that enterprise customers have budgets just for testing new technology and will buy your product to do just that. This does not mean that you have achieved PMF. For these types of customers, only long-term contracts are an indication that they actually value your product and want to use it. There is no magic metric, but for a B2B business, it's hard to imagine PMF at anything less than $1 million ARR, annual returning revenue. Scaling. Once you've achieved product market fit, that is the right time to blitz scale and win the race to market share. To do this, you will need to create massive awareness, marketing, walk many customers through the sales process, sales. Hold these customers' hands as they set up a unusual product or service, customer success. Harden your infrastructure to withstand many users at once, DevOps. Get rid of technical debt as well as add the features promised in your roadmap, engineering. Update the product roadmap to meet the most urgent needs of your customers, products, and all the non-technical operations, people, recruiting, training and HR, finance, legal, office. All of this requires hiring talented and experienced people to fulfill these functions. First, raise the money needed to hire the team, then begin hiring. Once you bring on remote workers and your team scales beyond 15 to 20 people, most likely things will begin to fall apart. You will hire very talented people and they simply won't perform in the way that you hope or expect. You will end up doing more and more work yourself, working longer and longer hours just to keep the company afloat. You will extrapolate this trend and realize that you will soon break. It is at this moment that you need to implement a formal management system. It will be painful. You will no longer be able to just work on the product. You and your team will likely have to spend 1 full day per week preparing for and participating in team and one-on-one meetings. These meetings and the system will feel like pure overhead. They are. And without them, your company will never scale successfully. The good news is that the same system that allows your company to operate well with 25 people will also allow it to work with well over 25,000. Neither the system nor the amount of overhead will change. It's a one-time hit. The rest of this book walks through the implementation of such a system.